All right, AP World History students, this is the second chunk of our lesson on Mesoamerican empires. I'm sorry I can't be there with you for this piece because it's one of my favorites. This is about the Inca people and their empire. And I want to start off with this image of this site here at Machu Picchu, high in the Andes Mountains. And I just want you to lean into this notion here and this idea and let it sort of fill your imagination, because I think that the key adjective for us here is just to wonder or to marvel at this unique state and culture, this empire that's established here. Now, we know the unfortunate grim conclusion from having read Guns, Germs, and Steel. We remember the title of the book, and we know what happens to Atahualpa there. But let's not treat this as a tragedy here in this lesson. Let's treat this as something that's remarkable, that we can just sort of celebrate or marvel at. So we have this empire here in the Andean region of South America. So we can see its origins here are like in the modern day country of Peru, and it expands out. Let's just note it's a really large empire, just in terms of landmass, and the landmass that it happens to occupy is not simple or easy landmass to occupy or to conquer or to govern. And that's just one of the remarkable things about this empire, is that these people were a mountain people. It wasn't like they didn't know about the plains, it just hadn't occurred to them that it might be simpler to live elsewhere. Like they specifically were a mountain people, and they sort of developed this, they habituate themselves, or their human environment interaction leads them to develop a style of living and ruling in the mountains that's just kind of remarkable. And I'd say, we have the Aztecs who kind of had this thing where they kind of conquer people, crush them, collect tribute through human slaves and human sacrifices and all this kind of stuff, and some goods. The Inca built more of a bureaucratic empire where they are directly governing over this large space. And to do that is not simple. The idea was that their emperor, the Sapa Inca, as he was referred to, was like the owner. He was understood to be like a god, and all of the empire was the property or the possession of the emperor. And the people would be sort of conscripted to work for the emperor for that regard. They've got, they break it into provinces. And so they have like a bureaucracy of sort of regional governors and people like this, and inspectors to check on the regional governors. Always smart. Don't trust people any farther than you can throw them. This is like just sort of good human nature thinking. They're doing all this stuff without certain technologies that we might consider just essential to this sort of thing. They're doing it without the large domesticatable animals that you would use for labor. They're doing it without the wheel. They're doing it without written language. Now, they have a language of sort. They certainly have a spoken language. Their written language, or their record-keeping language, is kind of ingenious. It's called a quipu. And you see it pictured in this bottom picture here. It looks sort of like maybe a weird necklace here. But what this is it's actually it's almost like an Excel spreadsheet. It's like recorded data. And it's like a system of these small chords or strings that were different colors, and they had like knots on them, and the knots were in different configurations that would record certain information. So I don't know what this particular quipu is recording, but it could be recording like the wealth of a village, over time, or like the population of a village over time. And they'd be using this for like tax collecting data. And the other piece I'm showing you here that we'll explore is like the rock, the stone formation that they would use, and the stone building that they would use, which is just incredible on an artistic level. Let's just sort of pause for a second here. So, again, more pictures from Machu Picchu. This is a site way up in the Andean mountains. Okay, they're building these with like large stone, but the way they're building with stone shows such incredible craft, and building again without like metal tools. Okay, so they're using other stones to carve these stones to put them together to make this temple, or it's like a fortress area. You can see the way that the skill that they're carving these you can't even fit like a razor blade in between these rocks, the skill with which they're carved. Also, we'll note, and I'll just go back here, it's not like they'd never heard of or never conceived of the idea of a cube. It would probably be simple to just make sort of simple cube or brick-shaped stones that are uniform and then stack them up. But they didn't do that. Instead, they build in this sort of playful and irregular way that would be just so complex to imagine. But it's just a delight for the eyes, and it's almost like a crazy mathematical, geometrical puzzle that's remarkable. I just find it endlessly fascinating. And someday I'm going to talk my wife into going to this particular place to see this example of human ingenuity in action. Also, let's note, these stones had to be brought from the bottom of the mountain up to the top of the mountain. Again, without these animals to do this. It's just really kind of stunning, this architectural and artistic legacy that they left behind. They were people of the mountains, and they were people of stone. Stone has almost a religious significance to them. The other thing that we sort of marvel at is the way that, again, it's difficult to get around the mountains, yet they were road builders like no others. We know the Romans are road builders, all roads lead to Rome. That's true. That was a real phenomenon. But nobody built roads with a degree of difficulty like the Inca built roads. 2,500 miles of roads across the Andes Mountains, sort of winding around them. And then you've got these sort of like canyons and gorges, and they're building rope bridges to go between these. And they have all these runners that could relay information from one end of the empire to the other in just a matter of days, sort of relaying these messages back and forth. And I forgot the distance, but it's like each runner goes like 8 miles or 10 miles as a way to kind of get information back and forth to the emperor. So just kind of amazing. These were the people, now this is before the Inca times, but like this, in this part of the world is where the potato was domesticated. So we thank you, the Quechua speaking peoples of the Andean mountain regions, for domesticating the potato and giving us all the beautiful expressions of potatoes that we've experienced ever since. And the Columbian Exchange, which will be a big deal. The potato is a big part of that. Another piece that they leave behind is these sort of woolen textiles from llamas. So like from the wool of llamas, they're making these colored textiles, these fabric pieces that are intricately designed and extremely valuable in their culture. So this was it's sort of like the Inca version of silk, I guess you could say. And so this was a piece that they leave behind. And still the people who speak Quechua and the people, the indigenous peoples of the Andean mountain region, you might even recognize this. These are patterns that you would still find that those folks would wear today. The Inca had the system, and the College Board loves to ask about this. The Inca had the system where, again, all land belongs to the emperor. It all belongs to the emperor, and everyone who lives there is then recruited to do work for the state. All right, and do work collectively for the state, for the good of the state. It's kind of like a socialist sort of system there, where it's collective labor. All right, so like once a year, let's say, a people in a village has to go and build a rope bridge, and you'll watch a video about this. But like that rope bridge, the rope that they're building the rope bridge out of is made out of grass. They're just like collecting grass, and they kind of twist it together in little yarn-sized pieces of grass. And then they take all those little yarn threads of grass, and they braid them together into like little, bigger pieces of rope that are like maybe this size. And then they start braiding those together and braiding those together. And then pretty soon you build enough where you can stretch it across this mountain gorge and tie it right into the rock on either side. And you do this, and it's like a 2 or 3 day project, all done together. No one's getting paid. It's just sort of like, this is what the village all gets together to do. It's sort of their act of tribute toward the government or toward the state or toward one another, because everyone's going to then use this bridge. And you create a rope bridge that sort of swings like in that Indiana Jones movie, across the gorge. And I still don't know if I'd walk on it. I'm sorry. Maybe you would. Maybe you look at this and just say, I would love to walk on this. The swinging around would freak me out a little bit. And I think in the back of my mind, I'd still be saying, I'm standing on grass. I can't do this because I'm standing on grass. There is a short video I'm going to ask you guys to watch to follow up with all of this. But I want to thank you for just engaging with that kind of imaginative aspect of your brain. to marvel at the story of who these people were before the unfortunate end, and before they were introduced to guns, germs, and steel in all the saddest ways. You have homework for next time, and there's more details there, but it's a reading check 427 to 435. Thank you so much, students. Have a great day.